Okay, hi. So I thought I would do a video going through my record collection. I have 3 boxes of records, probably about 300 or so in total. First box that we'll be looking at ranges from A to E, but it does have a few 10 inches in and a few records that are hard to store in the other boxes as well. So we'll get started with that aforementioned hard to store record. We have a metal box by Public Image Limited. Now this is a repress from around 2006 by an American record company, which is why it's in nice shiny condition as opposed to the originals, which are all quite rusty by now. This is a great album, probably not as good as the first album for me, but the bass playing on this by Joe Wobble is still really good. Yeah, so great record, bit of a nightmare to store with the other Pill records, just because the box that they're in is lacking space, so I keep it at the front of this other box. Okay, and then we have my 10-inch records, which I keep at the front of this one. First one is Walking Back to Happiness by the poet John Cooper Clarke. Good little live EP this. Let's see, a nice clear record. Yeah. Then we have Jaded Youth Live by The Cribs. I got this in Leeds from a record shop. I can't remember the name now. It may be Jumbo Records. This is a collab, so on one side it's Jaded Youth by The Cribs, and then the Black Bells on the other side, and it is in collaboration with Jack Daniels as well. Okay, then we have a single. It's a 10-inch single of Messages by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. Quite a thick record for its age. Comes from, it's on the Din Disc record label, but yeah, it's quite a heavy record for its time. This is my favourite version of Messages, which I think is a great song. That's all the 10 inches, and we'll get on to the 12-inch LPs now. So the first one is 90 by 808 State. This is a house music record. It's nicely designed sleeve. I'm not really a massive house music fan. I haven't listened to this album much. It got it because I liked Pacific State, which is on here as Pacific 202. But I think it's a pretty cool design sleeve. I like the aesthetic of it. And then we have something completely different. This is an album by a band called Agent Fresco. They are an Icelandic band. Their genre is kind of metal, post-rock, shoegaze. It's difficult to put them into one category, really. This is their second album, Destria, or Destria, I believe that's how you pronounce it. For me, this is better than their first album. I just think the first album has a little bit of filler on it, but this one is great all the way through. A more well-rounded record, I think. First album is a little bit more metally. This one is a little bit more melodic. I think it is a nice gatefold sleeve, and it is a double album as well. Definitely recommend this if you've not heard them, especially if you're into drumming, as the drumming on this record is really good. He sort of plays the drums like he's the lead instrument, but it works really, really well. So yeah, Agent Fresco. Get that back in its sleeve. Next up, we have a few David Bowie records. First one, Aladdin Sane. Pretty iconic album. Not a massive Bowie fan, but I do have a few records by him. Aladdin Sane's not my favourite album, but it's got some good tracks on it. And then next one, Ziggy Stardust. Again, I think this one is better than Aladdin Sane. This doesn't actually have Ziggy Stardust in it though. For some reason, it has a copy of Changes, which is a compilation by Bowie in it. I put that down to my dad, who I got this album off, misplacing Ziggy Stardust sometime in the 70s, I imagine. And then we have Heroes, which is probably my favourite of the three that I've shown so far. I like the tracks V2 Schneider and Sense of Doubt. Obviously the single Heroes. But Sense of Doubt's probably my pick of the tracks on this album. Of course, iconic sleeve again. Then we have more Berlin era Bowie, but this is a soundtrack for the movie Christian F, which is an okay movie. He stars in it, playing live. I'll not go into the movie, but it's worth checking out. Basically, it's based on a true story, based on a book by a real person, about a drug addicted teenager in Berlin in the 70s. But really good soundtrack, really good compilation. It's got the sort of a mix up of Heroes and Helden, so half of it is in English and the other half's in German, which is pretty good. TVC 15, it's great. Look Back in Anger, underrated Bowie track, I think. So yeah, I recently got this in Cambridge at a market. Been looking for it for a while, just because it's a really good compilation of Bowie tracks. It's also got Sense of Doubt on it, which I spoke about on Heroes as well. Next up, last Bowie one. This is another compilation. It's Changes 2. Not as good as Changes 1 for me. Probably a lot of people would probably say that as well. Ashes to Ashes, probably my favourite on this one, but there are some pretty crap tracks on this album. To be fair, I was quite disappointed by it when I first stuck it on. Might sell it, actually. Then we have a 12-inch single of Small Town Boy by Bronski Beat. It's a classic track. That's not much more I can say about that. It's a really good song. Another Music in a Different Kitchen by Buzzcocks. Really, really good album. Great songs from start to finish. Think I do prefer it over the second album, which I also have. just classic pop punk. Best track on it, You Tear Me Up. Yeah, You Tear Me Up's probably my favourite on this album. Fast Cars is great as well, but they're all good. And then we have Love Bites. Again, another really great record by Buzzcocks, just as good as the first album, really. Nostalgia, probably my favourite track on this one. But yeah, a really classic album by Buzzcocks. Singles Going Steady by Buzzcocks. It was all of their singles and all of the B-sides. So you got the singles on side A and the B-sides on side B. The B-sides are really good as well. Sometimes just as good as the A-side. Whatever Happened To is a great B-side. Why Can't I Touch It? It's a classic. Great bass line on that one as well. Love You More is probably my favourite single on this one. More punk. We have The Clash's debut album. This is the UK edition. So the US edition of The Clash has a different track listing. I think that the US one has White Man in Hammersmith on it, as well as a few other different tracks. I really like this album. Again, I couldn't pick really a bad track on it. Remote Control's great. Garageland as well. Just quintessential, really, punk album from the era. I do want to get the US edition as well, just for the slightly different track listing. It's also got some great tracks, which this one doesn't have on it as well. Then London Calling, the most famous album by The Clash probably, and it is the best, to be fair. This is, I think this might be an original press, a first press. It was cheap because it's slightly warped on one of the records. Of course, it's a double album. Of course, it's got quite a substantial track listing. The title track, London Calling, is great. Lost in the Supermarket, probably the pick of the bunch for me. Again, great bass line on that. Normally prefer Mick Jones's songs to Joe Strummer's. Just find them more melodic and the lyrics a little bit. I just prefer the lyrics by Mick Jones, to be fair. But yeah, every track on this record is great. Card Cheat as well, yeah, another brilliant song. Definitely recommend London Calling, and an iconic cover as well. Cocteau Twins. I get confused as to which record is which by the Cocteau Twins, because this one looks quite similar to that one. Head Over Heels? Nope, that's Sunburst and Snowblind, which I believe is an EP. This one should be Head Over Heels then, which is a great album. Probably the original shoegaze band. I do prefer these earlier albums to Heaven in Las Vegas, which is one of the later ones. Apologies if I'm getting the name of albums wrong. I'm doing this off the cuff. But yeah, early Cocteau Twins, good stuff. And another one there as well. which is another EP, I believe. John Cooper Clarke, Snap, Crackle and Bop. This has some of his most famous poems and tracks on them. Evidently Chicken Town opens it. Beasley Street, probably the best on this one for me. This doesn't have the pocket in there, so some pressings had a actual cardboard pocket with a poetry book of the lyrics inside, I believe. But this one doesn't have it, unfortunately. Still a great album design, I think. And more John Cooper Clarke, This Guy's in Love, which was the follow-up to the last one I showed you, I believe. I Married a Monster from Outer Space, probably my favourite on this one. Really funny track. Then we have Crass. Now, can't say I like this album. This was part of my dad's collection, which got handed down to us. Not really my cup of tea, but because they are my dad's, I don't want to get rid of them. But, you know, it's got its place. Cribs' debut album. This is part of they released the first 3 albums in the past, it was 2 years ago now, reissued the first 3 albums, on different coloured vinyl. I might be wrong, but I don't think this was ever issued on vinyl when it was first released, so it was really nice to have. Great album, probably better than the second one for me, I think. Yeah, You Are Was the One, The Lights Went Out, Another Number, obviously staple of their set list still. Really good album, and this one is on Pink. Really nice. Got a lot of Cribs albums. Probably one of my favourite bands, I'd say. And again, there we go. New fellas. Just follow up to the one I just showed you. It's probably more well known. Obviously, it's got Hey Scenesters on it, Mirror Kisses, which are like indie nightclub staples. Still a great album. This one's also got You're Gonna Lose Us added onto the end, which was a single initially, I believe. Then we got Men's Needs, Women's Needs, whatever. Probably the most well-known Cribs album. This is a really, really good album, produced by Alex Kapranos. Be Safe, brilliant songs. It's just from start to finish, it's just a brilliant, really, really good album. If you've not heard the Cribs before, don't be put off thinking they're like landfill indie. They're not. It's really good punk as well. Just brilliant lo-fi indie rock. Even this one, which was quite poppy. Then Johnny Marr joined the band and made one of the best albums ever. Can't think of a better album which has where the first 3 tracks are as good as We Were Aborted, Cheat on Me, and We Share the Same Skies, and obviously Sea of Bugs, the 4th track as well, which is great. Some people didn't like what Johnny Marr brought to the band, sort of softened them down a bit, but it's just the guitar work between Ryan Jarman and Johnny Marr. It's just amazing on this album. I think anything Johnny Marr puts his name to is normally good. I'm a big fan of his. Got a lot of Smith's records as well, which we'll might get onto in another video. But yeah, this is a really good album. Might be my second favourite Cribs album, I think. My first favourite, or my most favourite, should I say, is this one, In the Belly of the Brazen Bull. This is the follow-up to Ignore the Ignorant. It's quite a rare record, I think. Glitters Like Gold, yeah, and brilliant album. It's Johnny Marr's not on this one. He left, and it was back to the three of them, but it is still really melodic, more melodic than the other ones, a little bit more ambitious. Some slow songs on there as well, which are also really good, like Uptight. Is it a double album? Yep, it's a double album, and I believe the last side is it's a blank side with an etching on there. I don't know if it comes up on the camera though. But it's a really good album. Probably, if you want to get into the Cribs, start off with Men's Needs, Women's Needs, whatever. Then maybe In the Belly of the Brazen Bull. And if you still like them, then try the rest. The first two are more sort of straightforward punk albums. First one is a little bit 60s garage rock inspired. But yeah, this one is probably all of the great elements of the Cribs comes together, sort of later Cribs and early Cribs all in one on this record. And then we have For All My Sisters. So the Cribs went on hiatus for a little bit after In the Belly of the Brazen Bull, and then they came back with this one, which was a little bit more poppy. I think this is the first album that wasn't released on Wichita. Yep, but it's still a really good album. Saw them tour this live at Pop Rex, saw them at Pop Rex, where I got it signed. It's still a great album, not quite as good as the earlier ones for me, but it's still brilliant. I think Different Angle was a bit of a hit at the time, and Pink Snow is still a staple of their set list. Pink Snow's got a 6-string bass on it, which I like, and Summer of Chances is a great song as well. Last Cribs one. My dog's just getting invested in the records now as well. This is a live album, recorded during COVID at the Cavern Club. Just a good compilation of just songs of all of the albums up to now. I think Night Network, which they were touring at the time, or they wanted to tour, but it was COVID. That's a good album. Running Into You, Never Thought I'd Fail Again. Brilliant songs off that album. They're all in here, as well as a great compilation of songs from across their career, including a live version of Uptight, which is a rarity, so that's good. It's a good album, and it sounds good as well for a live album. Cribs can be quite noisy live. Sometimes the sound's not the best, but it is on this record from what I remember. Next up, the Damned's debut album. I think it's called Damned. Yeah. Another iconic punk album. Not as big into the Damned as other punk bands. Definitely prefer Buzzcocks and Clash, which we've already discussed, and you'll see if I do other videos about Record Collection that I've got more albums by other punk bands from this era. But it's a classic. Obviously you've got Neat 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 and New Rose, the two big singles from there. Fan Club, it's another good one, good riffs. Yeah, it's a decent album. Probably not a quintessential punk album for me, I've got to say, which might upset some people. Searching for the Young Soul Rebels by Dexys Midnight Runners. This is a really good album. Obviously, everyone will know Come On Eileen from the album after this, or maybe a couple of albums after this, I'm not sure. That's crap compared to this. This is like a really good soul record. Obviously, you got Gino, Burn It Down, Tell Me When My Light Turns Green. Just really good vibes, I'd say. Like, it just gives off like a really good aesthetic. Kevin Rowland, a bit of a big head, but can't go wrong with this one, even if you can't really understand what he's saying half the time. Deep Purple in rock. I'm not really a massive metal fan or prog fan. Not what I'd normally listen to, but I love Child in Time. Ever since I saw it in the movie Twister, I thought I'd give this record a go because I got a really good deal, considering it's the first pressing, I believe, and it is a gatefold, I think. Is it? Yep, gatefold. Here we got Child in Time, which has probably one of the, if not the best guitar solos of all time on it. Thought about getting rid of it when I sold off a few of my records a few years ago. Sold off a lot of records that I just wasn't listening to, or just bought on the whim, hoping I'd like them when I wouldn't, but I thought I'd keep it. I like the overall design of the record and Child in Time as well. Probably give it another listen at some point. See if I can get into it a little bit more. And again, completely different. Stella Donnelly's debut album, Beware of the Dogs. This is more sort of bedroom, lo-fi, solo artist sort of stuff. There are some full band songs on this record as well. It's really good album. She's an Australian singer-songwriter. A lot of sort of, oops, some download codes falling out of it. Tackles a lot of like sort of feminist issues. Favourite tracks probably Old Man or Beware of the Dogs, the title track. Lovely green pressing. Saw her live in Leeds a while ago. I believe there might be a ticket in there for that. Yep. Stella Donnelly at Brudenell Social Club. She just released a new album. I've not really given it a listen yet. Couldn't really get into the second album as much as this, as Beware of the Dogs, to be fair. I think it just really, I really connected to it at the time it was released. I was really into Soccer Mummy at the time that this album was released, so similar but a little bit softer, I think. Doors debut album. This is a early 80s repress, I think, but it's still brilliant. Great album. Obviously it's the Doors, so way ahead of any other band around at the time this came out. I think it was 1967 that this record was released. And compared to the Beatles, who I don't really like, sorry, and other bands from that era, this is just miles ahead of it. Just absolutely brilliant. Obviously the end, just timeless. Amazing guitar riff. I think it's Robbie Krieger, brilliant guitarist. Ray Manzarek, amazing keyboardist. Yeah, the end, absolutely brilliant song. They're all just a really good track listing on this one, to be fair. But it's not as good as this one, Strange Days, which is my favourite Doors album. Just sort of takes everything done on the first album and sort of ups it a little bit. Just a bit more energy, a little bit less bluesy, a little bit more psychedelic, I'd say. Strange Days, the title track, is brilliant. Your Lost Little Girl has a really good bass line. I think on this album they actually did bring in a bassist to play. Normally, obviously, Ray Manzarek was on the Rhodes keyboard. He'd do the bass line and the keyboard as well. When the music's over, absolutely brilliant. If you've not heard the Doors before, this is my pick of the albums. Strange Days. Morrison Hotel. This one, I think after a couple of disappointing releases, I think it was The Soft Parade and Waiting for the Sun, the Doors released or went back to basics with Morrison Hotel. It's very bluesy, this one. Bit more bluesy than I would personally like. The first two albums for me are still way better than this one, but I love the album cover on this. So I mainly, when I was selling my records, I considered this one, but I mainly kept it for the album cover. I don't listen to it as much as the first two or their last album, which is this one, LA Woman, which is just as bluesy, if not more, than Morrison Hotel. I just think it's better. Obviously Riders on the Storm is the one that everyone will know. LA Woman is up there, one of the best Doors tracks. Hyacinth House, it's a really good song as well. This is a great album. Again, not quite as good as the first two albums for my taste, but yeah, brilliant album. And this has got the embossed cover as well, which I like. Doesn't have the, I think earlier pressings had this bit, the yellow, as a sort of see-through material, sort of a tinted see-through material, but this one is just cardboard, but still a great album. Almost towards the end of this box now. Ian Dury the Blockheads, a debut album. Again, it's a quintessential album of that time period, so 1977, 78 time. It's not punky, but there is some, it's got the energy of punk. It's more pub rock, is probably what you'd classify it as, but he's a brilliant lyricist, brilliant poet, Ian Dury. If you like the John Cooper Clarke records, then this is like a Cockney version of that, really. The title track, Blockheads, is a great song, great energy. Sweet Jane Vincent, Wake Up Make Love of Me. Yeah, really good album. Can't listen to it all the time, sort of not one you'd stick on regularly for me. To just get a little bit much, but every now and again you can't beat a bit of Ian Jury. And we've got Jukebox Jury, which is a compilation or sort of a best of. This one's got What a Waste on it, which might be my favourite Blockheads track. This is a good compilation. Sort of an introduction to Jury, I guess. So if you like them, but you've only heard a few tracks, pick up this. First album that we just looked at is also a decent album as well. Echo and the Bunnymen. This is a live EP, I believe, from a little bit earlier in their career. Might be from around the time of the second album, or between the second and the third, or maybe the first and the second. It's got Crocodiles on it, which I know is their first album. Good live. Saw them a couple of years ago, and they're still really good. Would recommend it. Obviously, the guitarist, I can't remember his name now, but he is a brilliant guitarist. It's really cutting edge, ahead of his time. This is my favourite Echo and the Bunnymen album, Porcupine. Not only would I say it's my favourite Echo and the Bunnymen album, I'd say it's probably one of my favourite albums ever. I think it's just brilliant. I never get sick of it. A lot of people obviously prefer the later album, Ocean Rain, but I think this is at their best. I really like the strings that were put on it by, I can't remember his name now, I think it's Indian, but I think they recorded the album, the record company rejected it, and then they got this guy in on strings, violin, and it's just amazing. Really, really good, especially the midsection and Heads Will Roll. This is a really good album to listen to with a decent pair of headphones, a decent set of headphones on, should I say. Really well produced, really good layers. If I was to recommend you any album from all the ones we've looked at so far, probably this one. Brilliant, and a great cover as well. Ocean Rain, probably the most well-regarded Bunnymen album, the most famous. It's got Killing Moon on it, obviously, Seven Seas, Silver. Not as good as Porcupine for me, but still a decent album. Just don't think it has the same energy as Porcupine. It misses a little bit of the experimentation of the earlier records, I think. Last band we're going to look at today, Editors, post-punk band from the post-punk revival in the mid-noughties. A lot of people maybe just discount them as sort of a rip-off Joy Division or sort of the same as Interpol, but I don't think so for me. Obviously this first album was a big hit at the time. It got Munich on it, which everyone knows. For me, Fall is the best track on this album. Fall is one of my favourite songs of all time, really, I'd say. It's absolutely brilliant. This is an original press, which is quite rare, I believe. Nice gatefold. There's a guitarist that left after the third album. I think they missed him for a long time, actually. I think they probably still miss him now in terms of the sound. He brought a lot to the band. sort of first 3 albums for me, brilliant. Obviously we'll get onto those now actually, but after the guitarist Chris left, sort of went downhill a little bit. This was the last album that he did with him, In the Slighting on This Evening. This is my favourite Editors album. They ditched a lot of the guitars and went to synth on this album, but it's really good. I think it's underrated. I think it is underrated. I love every track on this album, and even the outtakes as well are really good. If you got the special edition CD, they give you a second CD with the outtakes on it, and they're all just as good as the album tracks. Big Exit is brilliant. Walk the Fleet Road is a great closer. You Don't Know Love. Brilliant bass lines on this album. Brilliant bass lines to go with the synth. Really would recommend this. I think this album's quite rare on vinyl now as well, unless they've repressed it recently, which I wasn't aware of. But this is an original gatefold, but it's only a single record because it's not actually got much of a long track list on it. I think there's only about 9 songs on the album, but every song is brilliant. If you're going to listen to an Editor's album, probably listen to this one. The first one is probably the most accessible. Second album I like as well, but it's a little bit more poppy than the first one. Not as quite as strong. And then this one was a little bit more experimental, I'd say. And I really like this. If you like sort of post-punk, heavily synth-inspired post-punk, this is one of the best. Much more than a Joy Division rip-off, I'd say. And this is one of their recent albums, actually. Like I say, I stopped following them for quite a few years. Wasn't really liking what they were making, but then they got another member, or they collabed with a electronic producer for this album. I can't remember his name, and I'd say this album is quite similar to this one. Not exactly the same. I'd say In the Slighting on This Evening is still a lot darker than this one. But this is really good. Heart Attack, Picturesque, Karma Climb, great 3 opening tracks on that. Strawberry Lemonade, brilliant. Strange Intimacy. Saw them tour this twice. I saw them twice touring this, and they are brilliant. I'd say the tracks are even better on this album. The tracks are better live than on the record, but still really good. So yeah, I'm glad that they got back into this sort of style that I like. It's a nice album, nice pressing, double album as well, I believe. But that's it for my first box. I hope you've enjoyed just looking through my record collection. I thought it could be like a bit of an ASMR sort of thing, but not quite. I won't be doing many or any more Joy Division New Order bass playthroughs or anything like that. I don't have a practice room anymore. I don't really pick up the bass that often these days, to be fair. Not as much as I'd like. I had them out the other day and they still all work fine. Still got my Share Gold Marathon, but probably if it's a little bit therapeutic doing this, I think, looking through my records, because I don't look through them as much as I'd like, or get a chance to listen to them as much as I'd like, and I've got quite a lot. So I might do more of these. Let me know if you like any of the records that I've shown you today, or disagree with me or agree with me on any of my opinions. And let me know if you want me to go on to the next box, which is quite a bit bigger actually, so I'll probably have to split that into two. But yeah, thank you for watching.